Hello everyone, today we have a 2005 Toyota Tacoma. We will be replacing the front brakes, that includes the rotors, brake pads, and the calipers. So let's get started. Let's start off by removing your wheel and removing all 5 lug nuts. This is what it looks like. Let's get started. When working on brakes, the first thing I like to do is turn the wheel to the right if I'm working on the left driver's side. That way I have an easier angle to work with. We will start by removing the caliper bolts. I am using a 14mm socket to remove them. And this is how you do it. I am not sure when is the last time this vehicle had any brake work, but even the caliper was difficult to remove. Now I'm using a pry bar to push that piston inward, so it will help me remove the caliper. But I suggest that you are careful if you are going to be using these parts again. I'm going to be replacing the brake pads, the brake rotors, and the calipers I said, so I'm not very concerned if any of these parts get damaged because I will not be using them again. But if you are, just be careful with where you're prying and where you're sticking your screwdriver or your pry bar at. These are the 2 brake pads that I have to remove now. I am using a flathead screwdriver, and again I'm replacing the rotor and the brake pads, so I'm not concerned over damaging any of those 2 parts. But if you are, just be careful on where you're prying at and how you're taking them out. This second one is very hard to take off. It's all rusted, and again, just work with it and you'll get it out. The next step will be to remove the caliper bracket. Now this is the bracket right here. There are 2 bolts holding it together. That is one right there, and that is the second one. I have already sprayed it with the rust penetrate release spray. It's going to help it loosening up a little bit easier. And you will also need a 17mm socket. In this case, these ones are they're in there pretty good. So I'm using a breaker bar. It's a hollow breaker bar, and I'm inserting it into my ratchet, and I'm going to break both of those bolts loose. This will help you, and it will make your job a lot easier. Now it's time to remove the rotor. You may have screws in there and there, so look at that before you start trying to remove your rotor. You might need to remove the screws first. I will be replacing my rotor, so I'm not concerned about damaging it, so I'm using a hammer to get it out. Mine is pretty in there because it's rusted in the hub and in the inside of the rotor, so it looks horrible, but it works for me. I am cleaning the hub matting surface with a wire brush. This rust or debris on the hub can cause rotor runout and lead to wheel vibration, so it's a good idea to clean it. This is the caliper I will be replacing, and this is the new caliper, and it comes with the caliper bracket, the new brake pads, and the rotors. The rotors do have a size, so look for that front driver's side if you're installing this type of rotors on. Alright, so now I am removing the caliper bracket from the new caliper, as you can see me doing right here. Manufacturers use oil to keep these rotors from rusting, so it's a good idea to clean them with brake cleaner. Alright, it's time to put it back together, so we're going to install this new rotor onto the hub. In this case, I kind of use my left knee to hold my rotor down while I install the caliper bracket. But you could also install 2 lug nuts there temporarily to hold the caliper down while you do the rest of your work. It's up to you. Now I'm going to install the two brake pads. As you can see, I've already greased them to prevent squeaking from the piston pushing into that brake pad or just any moving parts. So I recommend you do that as well. Now it's time to install the caliper on. So get your two 14mm bolts and let's tighten them down. Next, we are going to remove the brake line from the old caliper and install it on the new caliper. So we are removing this with the same 14mm socket. It comes off and you're going to take off that bolt and you're going to remove the old washers. The new caliper comes with new washers as you're about to see. Those are the two new washers you're going to put on. You're going to put one inside the bolt first, put the brake line through it, and then another washer, and then just tighten it down. Now it's time to bleed the caliper. First thing I'm going to do is open this reservoir to allow fluid to flow into the caliper, and I'm going to open that bleeder valve until brake fluid comes through it. As you can see, I barely just opened it, it's already starting to drip, so that's what you want. I'm going to close that bleeder valve, and I'm also going to close the brake fluid reservoir under the trunk. Next, you are ready to bleed your system. So in order to bleed this caliper, you're going to need a second hand, or a second foot I shall say. The person inside the vehicle is waiting for me to say press, then they press on the brake, and then I open the valve and allow the air and brake fluid to come out. I will do this until there's no more air in the system. Watch how I say press and okay.
Press.
Keep doing this until there's no more air coming out of the brake fluid. There should only be a constant fluid motion of brake fluid.
Okay.
This will be all, and this is what it looks like. Hopefully my video was helpful. If it was, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you all for watching.